I'm Hazel, it's Saturday today, which makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, what I have been up to, and answer some of your questions. This week is the last time that we are doing a news video before patch 9.2. This upcoming reset is our patch day, and that means this is your final warning to spend your Valor and Conquest if you do not want it to be cashed out for a rather small amount of gold. You can spend Valor points on materials at a vendor by the Great Vault in Oribos that does not require any rating, and then if you have some Mythic Plus rating, you can spend it for these gear boxes that you can use to create gear for your alts. Similarly, Conquest can be spent for gear boxes for alts, assuming that you have enough rated PvP rating. I don't know that there's anything else to cash your Conquest out for if you don't have the rating, aside from just more pieces of gear for your character that you could maybe vendor or disenchant or something. But for Valor, which you may have been getting from Cullings this whole time, check out that vendor by the Great Vault. Heavy callus hides tend to be the best value thing to get and then sell on the auction house, depending on your server, of course. I imagine the prices might dip a little bit with the loads of people cashing out their Valor. However, I anticipate some legendary base item crafting in the future of the game, which may cause demand to go back up, so should be okay. Aside from the currency cash out, there's not too much left to do before the patch. I've been cleaning up my bags, I've been deleting extra Archivist Codex research items because we're moving on. This week, Blizzard released the official patch 9.2 notes along with a survival guide video. I will link both down below. If you have been procrastinating on checking out what the tuning changes are and the class changes are in patch 9.2, now is a pretty good time to take a look at it. They are as official as they are ever going to be. So if you're curious about what's changing with your class in the patch, then all of that is in the patch notes. They also this week posted a pretty lengthy guide on exactly how the Protoform synthesis system works. They give details on how we're going to unlock the system, what kind of materials that we'll need to craft the mounts and pets that you can make in Protoform synthesis in 9.2. Essentially, you are going to need to find not only the schematic, but then farm a lattice depending on what type of creature it is. So the example they gave is if you're trying to make a Servid mount, then you will need to kill Servids out in Zereth Mortis to get a Servid lattice. You'll also need Genesis motes, which you'll just get everywhere from playing out in Zereth Mortis, as well as a Glimmer for the pets, and then a rare specific item for any given mount that you'll need to farm. So lots to keep you busy as we craft and collect the mounts in Zereth Mortis. However, a lot of the Protoform synthesis materials are either bound on account. If you get a thing while you're just out running around in your alt, you could send it to your main. Or some things like the lattices aren't bind on anything at all, which means that we're going to be able to buy and sell them on the auction house, which should save some time if you're crafting and be a nice source of gold for people that are out there playing the zone quite a bit. The whole system is unlocked through the Cypher the First Ones progression, so even if you don't need Cypher the First Ones to get your raid gear set up, you may still want to mess with it if you're interested in any of the mounts. Other things that happened this week, the Blizzard Gear Store is finally back online after a couple of months of being down. Blizzard has parted ways with Fanatics, or they went under, I forget. But anyways, it's not a Fanatics Gear Store anymore. They have now partnered with Legends. They are back to gear.blizzard.com, and they have a couple of new things on the store. There's a new Murloc plush that has a glow-in-the-dark, so like glow-in-the-dark accents on it. There's also some new prints that I was looking at vaguely wistfully, but as usual, international shipping and customs charges can be a little pricey. Things have gotten better for EU if they go through the EU-specific gear store, but for Canada and presumably Australia, it's still quite pricey. So I think I'm sitting it out myself. That's what I'm telling myself. But the gear store is back up. In my life this week, I have been scooping away at a couple more patch videos and then raid guides coming out before the raid comes out. The first 8 will be out before March 1st, and then the last 3 will be out as soon as I can get footage of them. Once those bosses hit live servers, that may be a little bit delayed. I'll do my best. And aside from that, not too much. My current gold count is at about 507k. I did pass half a mil, but I didn't spend too much time on gold making this week. I'm excited about the patch. I just need to block out time and figure out exactly what it is I want to farm, because new patches are always just like rife with opportunities for gold making, especially with Mage Tower hitting like mid-March. That'll be really good. I gotta figure out a plan. And questions for this week. Thomas Slav asks, I have some unspent Valor points. What will be the expected amount of gold conversion of Valor in patch 9.2? Is it worth it? Will I get more gold if I just spend the Valor on crafting materials, sell them on the auction house? Generally speaking, you're going to get more value for cashing it out. I can't confirm the conversion rate because the mail never went out on PTR. Even if you copy a character over now, their Valor is reset, but they don't get that mail from Usuri Brightcoin. In the past, it has been like 10 silver per Valor point, and heavy callus hides. It'll depend on the value on your server, but usually that is the much better way to go. I would do a little quick math, but I'm certainly cashing all my extra Valor out for materials. And then speaking of gold, Nim wants to know, do you think that Blizzard will put in another gold sync mount? And if so, what would you want it to have to make it worth the gold? So I'm sure they will eventually put in more gold sync mounts. I'm a little surprised that I didn't see any in patch 9.2 just because it's been a minute since we've had like a good proper gold sync mount. Maybe I'm just hungry for one because I like those. It seems like a nice gold making goal without having to camp black market auction house and hope to get lucky. However, I want the next gold sync. I'm assuming we're talking about like the next mega gold sync. So not like, a frog for 1/3 million gold, but something for like 2 million, 5 million, or more. I want it to be useless. If they make it good, then everybody is just upset that they need that much gold to get the good thing that they want to have for the game. I think that the Brutosaur, as much as I love mine, was kind of a mistake. What I want is for them to make a mount that is ludicrously expensive just for the purposes of people that make a lot of gold flexing that they have made a lot of gold and then spent them on this useless thing. I want it to be a mount that is gaudy. I want it gold plated, and I want it to not only not fly, I don't even think I want it to go running speed. I think I want the point of the mount to be very expensive and very useless. I want the supreme brick of mounts. Like, imagine a gold plated hermit crab that can only go walking speed, and the express purpose of it is to just do laps around your capital city to show off how much gold that you made. Come on. People would be furious that something so expensive didn't have a good use. But that's the point, and then they don't have to buy it, It's just for people that have more gold than sense. That's what I want. I used to say a gold-plated snail, but then they put actual snail mounts into 9.2, so I'm shifting my target to a hermit crab. And Flavin wants to know, I'm not an endgame content player, no Mythic Plus or rating, more of a pick the flowers and collect the mounts. Are the new tier sets something that I can work towards in 9.2 without changing my playstyle? About that. So I looked into it because I could have sworn that I heard something in the early patch announcements and the interviews about how tier set crafting was going to be available to everybody, including outdoor players, but I'm starting to think that I imagined that because I went back and looked, and I've looked at the more recent stuff, and it does not seem that that is the case. There is the tier set crafting system, and it will unlock later on in the patch. That's the thing with the charges that accumulate that you can use to catch up with tier, but you need to have a base item to put into that system, and the base item must come from Mythic Plus, rated PvP, or raids. A regular piece of dungeon gear will not do. There's no particular difficulty required, so it could be an item from Mythic Plus 2, or just like a flat piece of Conquest gear without having achieved any particular PvP rating. However, if you don't touch any of those things at all, then it's not looking good. I think that's kind of a shame. It's true that you can say that somebody that isn't raiding or PvPing or doing Mythic Plus doesn't need the tier gear to achieve their goals, but that doesn't mean that they don't want to play around with the class up bonuses while they're out in the world farming things. So I wish that they had made it so you could make tier out of anything, like maybe the item level's lower and maybe it takes longer, but it does not seem like that's the case. And that's the week. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got a question for one of these videos, pop it in the comments and include the word question to help me find it. Have an awesome patch day and a wonderful, wonderful day.